walking down this inner path of love. It's been 1,000,000,000 hours since we and I'll never meant to cry. I never thought I'd feel this happy with you by my side. Now it's time I finally feel alive without a single thought in mind. Feels like we're underneath the sky. How about I reach up to the clouds, we're closer than we thought. After 1,000,000,000 hours, we're free and we're alive. After those lonely moments, I've missed the way this feels. Feels like my favorite dreams. I've never been the one who thinks that way. Our hearts are near. Feels like we're floating until we reach the sky. Feels like we're shooting stars. Feels like we're the only ones left alive. And I never meant to cry. I never thought I'd feel this happy with you by my side. Now it's time I finally feel alive without a single thought in mind. Feels like we're underneath the sky. About to reach up to the clouds, we're closer than we thought. After 1,000,000,000 hours, we're free and we're alive.
Hello, hello, hello. Well, just a minute ago, there were two people in here. Now there's not any. Don't know where y'all are. Well, if you're going to watch the replay, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. As you can see, right down here. Hi, H. Davis. Hey. As you can see right down here, I actually changed, all things serious. Eddie changed it for me so that it says the right name down here. So, okay. So, today we're going to be talking about Devon Hester, who went missing July 28th, 2022. And while I was researching this case, I found another interesting piece of information. Why police don't search for missing children. Okay, let me do a little bit of housekeeping here. I got to take care of all this stuff. I haven't updated this page yet, so it's going to be written wrong. Everything in this video is based on opinions and interpretation of facts as we know them. Nothing is true unless we can back it with facts. Nothing is meant to be used as an accusation against anyone. The thoughts and opinions of the people in chat are not necessarily the same as the host. Please be kind and do not harass any member of chat or the host. Let's make this a friendly and informative platform to come and enjoy learning about what is happening away from our computers, smartphones, and televisions. And I have changed this town member's business to Locker Sleuths, and with the revision of my name. So we'll remove this, and then because I'm going to be using other people's sites, which are listed in the description below, this is our Fair Use Act thingy. Okay, so I got a snagged toenail. Anyway, all right, so Devon Hester was 14 years old when he went missing July the 28th of 2022. And I did 2 nights ago, I spent a couple of hours researching, and I found a lot of things, and I was writing it on paper, you can see, but my page ran out. So I started screenshotting it all on my phone so that I could come back and look it up and do more research online. Strangely enough, I don't know why it happened, but when I went from my phone to my computer, looking at you've been researching. When I went from my phone to my computer, it's like all the sites have, not all of them, but a few of the sites have removed any information about this young man. I don't know why. It seems weird to me. But let's get into some of the things that I did find. Okay, this first one is, let me turn on my music a little bit here, because don't want to get no copyright strike here. Okay. Back to the comments. All right. So on here, scroll down just a hair. All right. This is from the newscast. This one is on Fox. In banners? I don't want to be in banners. I forget whose channel I'm on. Okay, I'll put this up here. All right, the credit for this is on Facebook, and it's for On Patrol Live. Some of the Facebook pages that I went and was researching on, the information's been removed. And when I go to the On Patrol Live on other platforms, I can't find any information on them at all.
2022, Devon Hester went missing from his home in Philadelphia. Joining us now to talk about this case is Angeline Hartman from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Angeline, what can you tell us about this case?
Curtis, this case is so sad to me because today is Devon's 15th birthday, and his family says that he had been dealing with bullying for some time before this. And so they were worried about his safety. They were trying to get him some help. They were working with the school, and then suddenly he disappeared.
You know, that is so sad to hear, Angeline. We understand that Devon was really involved in his local community.
Right. So before all of this happened, he was very active working with this teenager volunteer group through the Philadelphia School District, and they were working to educate their peers about the COVID vaccine.
He seemed like he was a very bright young man. I mean, I couldn't find out if he ran away or if he went to his friend's house and was abducted. I couldn't find any information telling me one way or the other on that. But I did find more interesting information.
We provide the facts so you can get the facts. We provide the facts so you can get the facts.
So they would canvass neighborhoods. They were doing a lot of online social media support, and he was even interviewed on the local media several times. But beyond that, I also want to say that his family is very proud of him for his writing ability. He is a really good writer, and he was recently published in a magazine.
Is there anything that you could tell us about the investigation? Also, do you have any idea where he might be?
Well, there have been unconfirmed sightings between Philadelphia and the Atlantic City area. We know he has ties to Georgia, but right now, nobody really knows where he could be.
And how's the family doing? I can only imagine this has got to be really tough for them.
Yeah, it has been extremely difficult because they feel very alone right now. I mean, again, he was 14 when he disappeared, so they're very concerned about his safety. He's gotten zero media attention, as we understand it, and they are out there searching.
And that's bad. I was in another chat last night, and somebody brought up that when it comes to missing children and the content creators that are out here doing stories about the missing children, there aren't very many of them doing stories about children of color. And it's not anything, in my opinion, I don't feel like it's anything that is directed to be insulting, because I think it's just, I don't know. I've always thought children of color are closer to their family than white children. White children run the streets and do everything all the time. But children of color, from what I understand, have always been inherently close to their family, and they stay close to their community. I never thought of children of color going missing. I mean, I guess it does happen. Hold on, my husband's messaging me. Just a second. Turn the volume on this down. It was off. My volume's off, and I can still hear the text coming through. Okay. So, oh, I know. This is an Apple phone. All I gotta do is click that switch. There it goes. All right. Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt everybody. That's where, oh, you found it on Facebook? Okay. So, okay, let's get back to what they're saying.
On their own. So tonight they are very grateful to OP Nation and your show because they are hoping this will make a difference.
Now, let's take a good look at Devon. He's a black male, 15 years old, 5 feet 6 inches tall, and he weighs about 125 pounds, has black hair and brown eyes. If you've seen him or know anything about his disappearance, please call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. That's 1-800-843-5678.
If you spill, you lose. Go. Oh, there you go.
Okay, so, and then next, I have another one. I have to see what it's going to pull up on me. Oh, I had the same one up twice. I'm sorry. We're not going to share the same one. Okay. And then here's another one from On Patrol. This is from Front Page Detectives. All right. So, okay. And it's also through On Patrol. It says live, On Patrol Live, sorry. I can't read. Missing teen goes missing from Philadelphia in July and hasn't been seen since. Okay, now on this site, I'm gonna move my microphone so I can see. Okay, it says by Front Page Detective staff on October 13th, 2022. Now, he went missing in July, and here it is October. That's 3 months away. Okay, so Front Page Detective has an inclusive. I'm gonna turn this sound down for just a minute. Okay. It says Front Page Detective has exclusive recap of what millions of TV viewers witnessed last weekend on the Reels Police Ride Along series on Patrol Live. Series commentator Deputy Curtis Wilson from South Carolina Richland County Sheriff's Office alerted viewers to the disappearance of 15-year-old Devon Hester, who went missing from his Philadelphia home on July 28, 2022. He's not been seen or heard from since. Hester is described as 5 foot 6 inches tall and weighs 225 pounds. What's he wearing? Does he wear glasses? Is he hard of hearing? Does he have purple shoes on? We know nothing more about it because it goes on to talk about the Center for Missing and Exploited Children. It has nothing more about him. I'm disappointed with this site, but at least they did get his name out there. Okay, so we're going to stop sharing that one. And then the last one's going to be rather lengthy, but I broke it up into 2 sections because I'm going to show you the first section and then I'll show you the second section. Okay, and this is from oh, I just clicked on it. I wasn't supposed to click on it. Okay, what did I do? Go back. Okay. Okay. Thank goodness for back buttons on computers. All right, now we will share this. I don't think there's a video in this one, so I'm not going to worry about turning on the music. If I get to a video, I will let you know. Okay. I don't know how much you can see here, but it says Devon Hester's aunt is certain something terrible happened during the 3 months he was missing. So that tells us right there that he was, I don't want to say he was at home because of what I know more about the story, but sorry, everything just shut down there for a second. But he, yeah. I guess he came home after 3 months because his aunt, after Devon, then 14, left home in July. Oh, Devon's aunt is certain something terrible happened during the 3 months he was missing, but he won't tell her what. So that leads me to believe that he might be home. Okay. After Devon, then 14, left home in July, officials knew exactly where to find him. He was wearing an ankle monitor because of a pending assault charge. Authorities in Philadelphia where missing kids under the age of 10 are the only ones automatically treated as top priority. so they made no attempt to pick him up. This to me is wrong. Just out and out wrong. Okay, so I'm going to go to the top of the page up here. Scroll up. Okay. Okay, it says, police don't always rush to find missing children. In some cities, anyone over 10 is on their own. Really? A 10-year-old they expect to be able to fend for themselves? I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, by the way, this was on USA Today. So here you can see the police with the dog search missing for North Carolina 7-year-old in 2020 from the Gaston Gazette. Your 11-year-old son walks down the street to play with a friend after school. When dinner time approaches and he hasn't returned, you call the friend's mom and ask her to send her son home. Distress is palpable in her voice as she tells you he isn't there. He left 45 minutes ago. You panic, running down the block to make sure, but there's been no mistake. Your son is gone. Your fingers shake as you dial 911. What happens next depends on where you live. Law enforcement agencies across the country operate under a patchwork of rules that govern how intensely they search for missing children. The degree of effort often depends entirely on the child's age or an officer's discretion. As a result, kids the same age can disappear under similar circumstances and receive vastly different responses from the police. So are they saying that the police, if you find a prejudiced police officer, a white child can be searched for before a child of color? Or if the police officer is of color himself, would he search for the child of color before searching for the white child? That's the way this reads. Now, I would hope that no law enforcement officer would pick over because of color or anything like that. I would hope not. In dozens of cities and towns, a child's age alone can move them from the bottom of the priority list, according to a USA Today analyst of standard operating procedures for more than 50 law enforcement organizations. Once that happens, it takes a preliminary investigation or an officer's initiative to move them back up. Okay, this says from the New Hampshire State Police, the general age cutoff for more extensive police investigations into a missing child is 17. So at 17, they would get more priority than at 18. Obviously, that's most states. Because at 18 years old, you're legally an adult in most states. And this one says for Louisville police, the general age cutoff for more extensive police investigation is 10. See, and I don't agree with that. I'm sorry, I got an itch on the end of my nose. More than 60% of the agencies examined by USA Today set a maximum age at which missing children are considered critical or at risk and therefore worthy of thorough investigation regardless of the circumstances. In Louisville, for example, the cutoff is 10. For the New Hampshire State Police, it is 17. That means missing 11-year-old in Louisville would typically draw less attention from a law enforcement officer than a 16-year-old in New Hampshire. If children are over the age limits, their cases require special circumstances, such as a health condition that requires medication or a drug addiction, or to warrant extra effort. That gives the first patrol officer who speaks to a missing child's family enormous power. The officer's opinions about the child's maturity, mental health, or relationship with their parents can dramatically affect the quality of the investigation, or whether there is an investigation at all. That discretion can result in discrimination. I would say the first initial encounter with law enforcement really sets the ball rolling for how these individual cases are being handled and treated and even responded to in the media. Says, I can't say that Borders person's first name, president of Peas in Their Pods, a nonprofit that advocates for missing children of color and their families. At the heart of it, that can be started by the inherent bias and racism and that exists. And it reiterates the first initial encounter with law enforcement really sets the ball rolling for how these individual cases are being handled and treated. Because of limited budgets and personnel, law enforcement is forced to prioritize, said Lieutenant Cyrus Zafrani, who oversees crime against children for the Dallas Police Department, but he wishes they didn't have to. All missing children are vulnerable because they can't take care of themselves long term. They're getting assistance from somewhere, Zafrani said. In a lot of cases, it's who they run into in the streets. The predators are out there. And that's terrible. It's true, but it's terrible. And then it talks about, that's what I read about Devon. Okay, so it says, the Philadelphia missing kids under 10, they're only automatically treated as top priority, made no attempt to pick him up. Sorry, my heater behind me just kicked on. Instead, they shared his location with Devon's aunt, Diana C. Coleman, who drove from her home in Philadelphia to the Hard Rock Hotel in Atlantic City, New Jersey, to look for him. By the time she got there, he was gone. 2 days of searching the area proved fruitless. Soon after that, the ankle monitor was disabled and stopped transmitting data on Devon's whereabouts to juvenile officials, according to Coleman. They're looking at this like it's just another black kid missing, and they're not doing anything, she said in October. Coleman, who previously worked for the Philadelphia Department of Public Health, has been raising Devon since he was 9 years old after years of abuse by his father. During the COVID-19 lockdown, he had found his voice, urging kids to get vaccinated as a youth ambassador for the nonprofit Coleman founded and publishing an article in an international teen magazine. I gotta take a drink. So he started out with a rough life. I mean, if he was in this caretaker's home because he had been abused as a child, and she took him in, and she's now raising him and showing him the love that he deserves. But in return, to in-person school caused him to regress. So when he went back to school, he went back in his shell. She brought him out of his shell during COVID, but he went back to school and went back in his shell. and a fight in the cafeteria led to assault charges. Coleman says her nephew was defending himself from a boy who'd been tormenting him for more than 2 years. They're looking at lists like just another black missing kid. Devon spent the night in juvenile detention center before officials realized it had been a mistake to take him there, Coleman said. Devon, who had never been in trouble with the law before, was released the next day. He later told his sister on the phone from the road that he had been repeatedly beaten while in detention and ran away out of fear he would be sent back. Oh my goodness. So while he was in juvenile lockup, that 24 hours from the time what happened at school till the time he got out the next day, he was afraid that if he messed up again, he would be sent back there and be hurt again. Oh, this poor little boy. I'm so sorry for him. For missing kids 10 years and older, Philadelphia Police Department rules require that an investigator enter their information into an FBI database and interview in person the individual reporting a missing juvenile as soon as possible. Coleman said no investigator spoke with her about Devon's case until after he was found in a building under construction in downtown Philadelphia on November 2nd, more than 3 months after he disappeared. Devon spent 3 more weeks in juvenile detention and agreed to plead guilty to a misdemeanor so he could get out, Coleman said. He was transferred to an inpatient mental health treatment program. Okay, I'll turn my music on so we can listen to this. I'll bring the microphone over for you.
Queens, kings,
Queens,
kings.
queens,
When I say kings, y'all say queens, kings,
queens,
kings.
queens.
Tweet, tweet, Chris Bird, yeah. Tweet, tweet, Chris Bird, yeah. Tweet, tweet, Chris Bird, yeah. Tweet, tweet, Chris Bird. I'm jogging down the street, I'm in the store. Next thing you know, I'm on the floor. They trying to take me out, I can't take no more.
Wish I. Wish I. There's a lot of things I want to say. There's a lot of things I want to say. There's a lot of things I want to say. There's a lot of things I want to say. There's a lot of things we want to say, but we sure wish straight. Yeah, we sure wish straight. There's a lot of things I want to say, but I sure wish straight. Yeah, sure wish straight. Yeah, I'm not gonna do it because it's not gonna help. It's not gonna help. It's not gonna help. It's not gonna help. No, it's not gonna help. No.
Okay. Okay. So, Philadelphia police officials did not answer USA Today's question about Devon's case or why their rules call for putting more effort into finding kids under 10 than older kids. Devon won't tell anyone where he was or what happened while he was missing, Coleman said. During a family counseling session, she recalled, he initially sat mute and refused to make eye contact. Then he left the room. Not long after Devon walked out of the treatment facility, he was later arrested on new charges. I don't know where he's been, but he's been through or who he's been with, his aunt said. There's so much uncertainty about what happens next. Do I think it's arbitrary? Although numerous states and the federal government have enacted laws regarding missing children, most leave room for interpretation. Several law enforcement officials told USA Today that because most children are found quickly, it makes sense to devote more of their limited budgets and personnel to younger children. It's about the ability of the agency and the resources that they have, said Zafrani of the Dallas Police. But many police and sheriff's departments were unable to explain why their agency chose the ages they did. Do I think it's arbitrary, said Snow of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children? I do think there was probably some decision made around, well, 12 and under are not a teenager. And so if we're going to focus efforts, we need to focus on the other category of younger kids. Yet missing 15 and 16-year-olds who more closely resemble adults face a higher risk of sexual, didn't mean to say that word, assault than, I don't know that word, prepubescent children, said retired Dallas Police Sergeant Byron Fassett. The person that's going to hurt to use a 10-year-old has a very specific mindset. We're talking a prefraternal blank offender, he said. Some agencies receive guidance from nonprofits such as the National Center when choosing cutoff ages. Some pay for policies from Lexipol, a private company that helps departments reduce their civil liability. But even that does not ensure consistency. Lexipol, which provides customizable policies to thousands of law enforcement agencies around the county, advised them to first look to state law, then defining at-risk. Barring that, Lexipol uses the criteria of 13 or under, a cutoff chosen after consulting with the National Center and other experts, according to spokeswoman Sharon Piper. The company settled on 13 because children at that age have not established independence from parental control for many decisions in their lives and have not established the skills necessary for protection from exploitation, Piper said in an email. Okay, now I'm going to tell you, I have a 17-year-old down the hall. When he was 13, I would not trust him. I let him go out. We lived in a very small town in Missouri, and I'd let him go out riding his bike. But if he didn't come back because normally he would come back for lunch or he would come back in the afternoon to check in, he knew that was what he was supposed to do. If he didn't come back for lunch, I tried to call his cell phone. If he did, or his friend's house where he was supposed to be before he got a cell phone, I'd call his friend's house. If he didn't come back for afternoon check-in, I started to get worried. If he wasn't home by dark, he was in some kind of trouble. So he made sure he was always home by dark. And one time, I called this friend's house, and she said, oh, yeah, he was here, but they're now over at so-and-so's. Who didn't call mom to let her know where he was going? So my husband and I had driven all over town that day. I mean, driven and driven and driven and driven. And by this time, he had a cell phone, but for some reason he wasn't answering his cell phone. So since we have Verizon Wireless for our cell provider, my husband downloaded this app on our phones that we could find his phone. And we followed the app to where his phone was at, but he left it at his friend's house while he went to another friend's house. We ended up finding my son. He got back to his original friend's house where his phone was, and he called me. He said, Mom, why is there so many missed calls on my phone? I said, CJ, why haven't I heard from you all day? Your dad and I are out hunting for you. would you please get your backside home? And then that was at 13. When we moved here and he was like 15, I let him go out riding his bike, but he already had a cell phone. And he wasn't ever gone more than half an hour or 45 minutes. And he was always checking in by 1:30. One day he was at a friend's house, and I knew he was at the friend's house, but I didn't know where the friend's house was. So I'm trying to get a hold of him, I can't find him. So I called law enforcement. And they told me, it's possible the pool's open. He might be at the pool. He might not be around his phone, whatever. So I was like, okay, I'll go out looking for him. So I went out looking for him. I went down to the pool and I got out. And just as I pulled in to park at the swimming pool, my son calls me. Mom, why are you trying to get a hold of me? CJ, I haven't found you all day. Where have you been? You didn't check in. Sorry, my phone died and I didn't have a charger, so I just shut it down. And I'm like, okay, where are you? Well, I'm on my way home. I said, I'm at the pool. If you're close to the pool, come on and I'll take you home. And at that time, the same police officer that had come to my house saw me at the swimming pool. So he pulled in there and he said, we've been looking for your son and we haven't found him. I said, I found him. I said, he just called me, just right now called me. So they called off the search for my son. But at 15 years old, I am thankful that in the town we live in here in Nowhereville, Kansas, the police did look for my son. And so I don't think that, and the good news to this, now this is about the end of the story. So, the good news to this is, starting in February, there is going to be a program that President-elect Donald Trump is going to incite. He is going to combine with Dog the Bounty Hunter, at-night investigations, at-night intelligence investigation. I don't remember exactly how it's said, but the at-night intelligence agency, and they are starting what is called the Sebastian's Army. And it is going to be nationwide for all missing children. If your child is missing, or your child is a runaway, or your child is abducted, or any horrible things that could happen to your child, regardless, if they're under the age of 18 and something happens to them, or if they're still living in your home, in school, and something happens to them, the Sebastian's Army will try to get involved and help you find your child. I think that's wonderful, because if we cannot depend on law enforcement, such as like in the Sebastian Rogers case and the Summer Wells case, law enforcement have pretty much let it go to become a cold case. They've wiped it under the table because money talks and horse manure walks. That's just the way it is, according to law enforcement in those counties, in those counties in Tennessee, in my opinion, allegedly, in my opinion. So I wish I could have found more information on Devon. I'd like to know how he's doing today, because if he was 14 and 22, that'd make him 16 now. Well, he would have turned 15, so he'd be 17 now. So he's almost a full-grown young man, ready to graduate high school and get on with his own life. I pray that the bullying has stopped for him. I'm thankful that he's found his voice, and he's going to be, I don't understand rap music, and that's what he was he was trying to do, and at such a young age. So I couldn't make head or tail sense of what he was trying to sing there. Is it called singing when it's rap music? I don't know. But I couldn't make heads or tails of it. But I could say that he was doing pretty good at such a young age. I hope he keeps it going because that young man could have a wonderful future. He's a very intelligent young man. And I'm glad that he is back home with his aunt that was raising him. And I hope that all the missing children out there, no matter who they are or where they are, I hope they get to come home soon and safe. Thank you for being here. Do something nice for someone, even if it's just be the reason they smile today, because with you being here, you made me smile. So good night and get lockered.